In a world where hopium and common sense collide, starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto. Question everything, trust nothing. It's your boys, CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. And it is a special Saturday night. We got a little debate action going on. We've got the one and only BlooBum and Deezy in the house. Gentlemen, BlooBum, how you doing tonight, bro?
I'm excellent, thank you.
Glad that you can make it. Deezy, what's going on?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Miguel?
I'm on mute like always, but I'm doing good. Nothing but a barbecued hand over here, but it's good.
Miguel decided to burn his hand tonight on trying to save a $11 steak, and now he's going to pay for that. So yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Those steaks are going to be worth a lot pretty soon with all that inflation coming. So,
Crypto fam, listen, make sure you smash up the likes, do all the things that YouTube loves, share out the stream. Let's have some fun tonight. We have got a little NFT debate going on this evening. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So BlooBum, can you give me just a short little brief introduction? Let the people know who you are.
Yeah, I'm a Hexagon with a PhD in Hedronology, and I have a kind of nuanced view on NFTs, I think, where I believe that some NFTs are going to be worth a hell of a lot, like specifically financial NFTs that the Hedron DApp makes. But the other kinds of NFTs, I'm not so sure.
All right. We got a Hexagon in the house. Deezy, introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, Deezy. I host a show on NFT Alpha. We got a channel over there, putting out pretty regular content. And I probably will agree with BlooBum on a lot of things. I think a lot of NFTs will, go pretty close to zero, if not essentially zero. And there are a lot of scams out there, but there are some legit projects, and there's a lot of use cases in the future.
Well, I'm excited to get into it. We will see where you agree, where you disagree, but let's just have a little bit of fun. Again, guys, make sure you smash up the likes. Let's have some fun. Just as a reminder, Crypto fam, if you want to add a question to the chat, just drop it as a super chat to make sure we see it. We're also going to be looking at the regular chat as well. But if you want to make sure that we see it, drop it as a super chat. So without further ado, Deezy, go ahead, Miguel. Sorry.
Yeah, Deezy. For the audience, right? They might not be jumping in here for the first time, not know what an NFT is. Can you give them the definition of what an NFT is?
Yeah, NFT stands for non-fungible token, and the simplest explanation is verifiably unique on the blockchain. So you can, prove digital scarcity, and that's being used in all types of applications. Mostly art, and people, It is a roller coaster of emotions if you get involved. So, if you dip your toe in, be careful. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Awesome.
NFTs have been all the rage. And I think it's really interesting when they first came on board. It was like, okay, are these legit? Are they not? And they've turned into so much more than I think I ever would have imagined. So I think it's really interesting. We'll see where this heads. So let's kick it off. So NFTs can't be duplicated or copied. Actually, Deezy, you just said this. They're verifiably scarce. What would you say to this, Jono?
Yeah, well, that's just not true. What you're actually owning is a cryptographically provable ownership of a link. And that link links to a server somewhere. And if you click that, like read the blockchain and put that link and put it in your browser, you can bring up that picture and you can right click and save as, and you can make that into an NFT. Now, maybe someone could argue that they own that NFT, but good luck getting money from that. And also, if they make sort of any change to that NFT, even if it's incredibly small, they now have fair use to put that NFT on the blockchain. And so all you're really owning is a link, a cryptographically secure or ownership of that link. On the other hand, financial NFTs will have a lot of value.
All right. So ultimately what you're saying is right click and save with just a very small change gives them rights and basically just fair use for any other thing. They could resell it, whatever is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, but also even if they just actually literally copy it and put it up as their own NFT, like who are you going to sue? Who are you going to go after? And then you have to go through that process, and you're going to need to get lawyers. And and can they even get money out of that person? So for all practical purposes, you don't own. I mean, you can say you own it if you like, but getting any money out of that is going to be a whole.
I mean, a lot of people would
thing.
say that by people copying and pasting your NFT, they're actually giving you free marketing dollars and promoting your NFT. What would you say to that?
Yeah, that's true to an extent. On the other hand, though, you don't really, like, anybody can do it, and so what use is that?
Yeah, that's a totally that's fine. So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. So Deezy, what would you say to the right clicking action? What do you have to say to what?
Well, the right clicking is just funny, say you have a Bored Ape and someone wants to right click and save it. Well, good luck saving that right click saved image online. And as John said, it's basically a digital fingerprint is how it, when you say something's cryptographically secure, it's a digital fingerprint. So that same Bored Ape can also give you access onto a yacht party perhaps. And if you show up with the right click saved image, they're going to see, oh, this is not, one of the 10,000 unique. It's just a carbon copy. So, I mean, it's, it does have a difference on its core level. Just looking like the same image isn't enough to, give it that same utility.
So you said it's a fingerprint. We're actually going to get into the specifics on the NFTs here in just a little bit. But with it being that fingerprint, what you're saying is a fake would be just that. It would be like showing up and showing an art dealer, let's say, a copy of the Mona Lisa. Yeah, like I can still hang it on my wall. And for anybody that doesn't know what they're looking at, they're going to be able to say, hey, look, I've got the Mona Lisa. And they could say, well, let me inspect that real quick. And once they inspect it further, what you're saying is, no go. You're done right there. Is that what you're saying, Deezy?
Yeah, same thing. Or, you could do an example of a Jimi Hendrix concert poster. You can get the original thing from, 50, 70 years ago, or you can get one that looks like it and it looks vintage and it looks the same. And, the common eye can't tell the difference. No one's going to care. And 99.9% of people won't be able to tell the difference. But at the end of the day, you'll know. And,
Right.
And at the end of the day, it can be proven digitally. So if everyone wants to look and verify for themselves, they can. So it's just not going to be, the same thing. The proven scarcity, gives it that value.
BlooBum, what you got, brother? Give me a little rebuttal action on that.
Okay, so in this little fantasy world where you rock up to the yacht party and you've got your cryptographically secure picture, but you've actually copied it from another one and you've printed up your own NFT of that one, and you show it to the bouncer. Are you telling me they're going to go and start researching blockchain and looking into how that is cryptographically secure? I suggest that if you show the bouncer the picture, that is going to probably let you in. And so the counterfeits will probably work pretty easily. And in terms of you yourself knowing that it's the original one, sure, if that gives you intrinsic value to know that you have the original of this thing, then I guess if that's valuable to you, then it's valuable to you. And but it wouldn't be that valuable to me.
Deezy, you've got the final.
Yeah, I'm not going to say, the bouncer at the yacht party is going to sit there and, they're going to develop this software that, is verifying and scanning, and all of a sudden, number 8,762 is off the list. And the second person comes and then boom, alarms start, people repelling from the ceiling. No, that's not going to happen. I would never say that's going to happen. It's the same thing with a sports ticket or a concert ticket. You go to a rock and roll show at the corner, you can duplicate those tickets. You're going to get away with it. You go to the Super Bowl, you're not going to be able to duplicate those tickets as easily. Can a mastermind, and ultimately break the system and do it? Of course they can. You're never going to be able to stop that, even for the largest sporting events in the world. So yeah, if you want to go through all that work to break into the yacht party, sure, by all means, go ahead. So, saying it can be counterfeited is, not really that big a deal. At the end of the day, there's a will, there's a way.
So yeah, so one of the things that I wanted to explain real quick, as it relates to the NFTs, kind of there's some some of the back and forth that's going on is about some of the technicals behind the NFTs. So the content related to the NFT, and this is just for the audience, right? The content of the NFT doesn't actually live on the blockchain. There's this thing called IPFS, which essentially stores the content And the NFT is that fingerprint that Deezy and BlooBum were just talking about. And so just to be clear, that is actually how it works. I think a lot of people sometimes think that and not that for most people it doesn't even matter, but just for the understanding, we're all about education and educating. It actually does not live on the blockchain. It is IPFS that is the fingerprint to, and your NFT is the fingerprint to retrieve it. So
yeah, so with that being said, right, the art not living on the blockchain and living in this other place comes the second question. So the second question is, if I can just pull it up real quick. So many would argue that simply tying a piece of content to the blockchain doesn't give it value. What are your thoughts, Deezy?
At the end of the day, this is philosophical questions on ownership, and we're gonna, try to split hairs over the definition of ownership. I'm not really here to do that. I'm not a coder. IPFS, yeah, interplanetary file system. If you want to dive into that, go ahead and dive into that. But to me, the marker of do I own it is, can I sell it, and I'm the only one able to sell it? Well, that's good enough for me.
BlooBum, what would you say to that?
Well, in the previous example, when we're using it as a ticket to get in somewhere, yes, that is a possible use case for NFTs. The thing is that we already have ticketing systems that work pretty well. And so what's the advantage of putting all of that on the blockchain? Like, you don't need to, there's nothing you don't need to do that. And so why would you?
I mean, outside of the ticketing example, like art itself being put on the blockchain, do you guys see that being valuable or not? Like an actual piece of art?
Look, ultimately, value is perception. And if enough people have perception, then I think, and the marketplace is the proof of that perception. That's the monetary value of that perception. The problem with NFTs is that either you can sell it or you can't. So there's no fungibility to it. Except, of course, and then another blockchain comes along like Pulse Chain, which is going to be a fork of Ethereum. And in that case, every single NFT that's on Ethereum is going to have a duplicate over on the Pulse Chain as well. And so all of a sudden, this incredibly non-fungible token is going to have another copy on another chain.
Yeah, well, so is every coin in existence. So, when Hex and Pulse and, the Pulse drop happens, there's going to be a interesting battle in crypto, but that's just going to be a universal battle. That's nothing specific to NFTs.
Yeah, the advantage of having a token, though, is that there's many of them and you can sell a few tokens for just a little bit of that money. Whereas with an NFT, you can either sell it or you can't. There's no kind of fractionalization.
Well, one advantage, you're saying, this doesn't have to be on the blockchain. One advantage NFTs, the beauty of NFTs is, you can write into the smart contract that the original artist gets a kickback of every single sale for the rest of their life. As long as they're alive, that smart contract is going to be, paying a specific wallet. Whereas, traditional means, you put that art out there, you don't get those secondary sales. So, this is a good thing for artists. And, I'm hoping more artists get educated on it. And, especially more blockchains that don't really have gas issues, if they have environmental concerns, so there's a lot of solutions out there.
BlooBum, you got anything? Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's true to an extent that you can have royalties, but putting royalties on something also adds friction to the sale. Like, people have to pay extra, and that they're always going to have to be paying royalties back to the original artist, which I think is a great thing. And we do see that in the traditional world in terms of movie rights and song rights, where the original artists have to be paid a certain amount of money. But, obviously, blockchain and the internet has disrupted all of that as well.
Well, for some people, that's a feature, not a bug. They like, giving that artist that kickback.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. When one of the things with NFTs that I think a lot of people don't realize is that the smart contracts do allow you to do exactly what you're saying. It allows the artist. So I'm a big fan of Audius, and Audius essentially gives the power back to the music creators, right? Instead of just going to the producers, all of these huge music companies. And I think they're kind of using some of this in that manner. BlooBum, you look like you wanted to say something.
No, I really love that. I'm, like, I was an artist myself. I toured theater shows around all over the place, and if there's a way for me to get a royalty for every theater show I've ever done, I'd be a rich man.
Yeah, I'm incredibly intrigued by it, and with some of the money that some of these are going for, it just gets wild. And I feel like if you were to create, I mean, think about it with the Bored Apes, for example, that's what had came up originally. If you were to create that idea and you were the artist behind it, it's not like it's some wild ass idea. It's a freaking bunch of monkeys that are dressed up differently than each other, you know what I mean? And it just became this thing that was so much more. But think about being the original person that came up with it and the kind of money that's going to be flowing through, even just from the royalties. These things are selling for hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. It's absolutely insane. I think that's really cool for the artists. So Crypto Fam, we've got a super chat.
We got a super chat over here.
Yeah, so Chad, I actually don't know the answer to this. I'm gonna ask it and I'll throw it out there.
See somebody on the panel knows.
Yeah, see if somebody knows. So if you use the Polygon wrapped ETH to buy an NFT on OpenSea, can you transfer it to your wallet with the ETH address, or do you need to use Polygon or the Polygon ETH wrap address? Do you know the answer to that question, Deezy, Miguel, BlooBum?
I'm trying to digest his question.
Yeah, I've used wrapped ETH. You use wrapped ETH on OpenSea. I've never used Polygon wrapped ETH. I've used Polygon, wrapped ETH to buy NFTs, but then I would just send it to the same address as the ETH and just change the chain.
But
the Red Village. The Red Village.
Yeah, the Red Village and Zed Run, right? It's ETH, but it's Polygon on ETH, and you would just use your regular Ethereum address. You just need to add, and you would see the NFT. So like the Zed horse runs, the horses, and the Red Village champions are also on Ethereum with Polygon. So I think it's just your regular Ethereum address, and there's nothing.
Well, it's going to be on one or the other, isn't it? Like, because they use the same addresses.
Yeah, they use the same address. So like it's Polygon, right? But it's still your Ethereum address because it's still
YouTube how to add Polygon to your Ethereum wallet.
Yeah.
Don't Google it. You might end up, clicking some scammy link. So just watch it on YouTube.
Yeah. OpenSea does it for you. You can wrap your Ethereum into Polygon when you're going to purchase an NFT.
Yeah. So next question here. If NFTs truly hold value, okay, if they truly hold value, what distinguishes a valuable NFT? We've used the Bored Ape one a number of times, but a truly valuable NFT like a Bored Ape or whatever from some random project. I'm going to start this off with you, Jono. So basically what we're asking is, if they're holding this crazy amount of value, what's the difference between one and the next? What makes one valuable and the next one not?
Well, it's completely perception. That's the simple answer. It's like, how much does, and in terms of how much is it valued in monetary terms, it's whatever you can sell it for, or whatever someone buys it for.
So
once someone buys it, that's what it's worth.
So it's worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it.
Well, yeah, by definition, I'd say.
Okay. Deezy?
Yeah, I mean, art is intrinsic. That's what gives it its value. I mean, art's, the beauty, eye of the beholder, but also community is intangible and it's hard to define. People just, it's human psychology. So, I mean, I would say be a sociologist if that'd probably be a good answer and try to figure out why is it worth what it is.
Yeah, I think
so. There's no real good answer for like, I'm just asking.
Well, what you can sell it for is another question. Like,
I mean, well, yeah, what you can sell it for is another question, but like, what would drive people, right, to like the Bored Ape Yacht Club community to be such a tight community where it's worth so much versus like, let's say, rubber ducky pixel NFT, right? Like, why are those not worth 100 ETH as a floor price, and there's not a strong community around that?
Well, that's just mass human perception. And
of what? That's mass perception of what?
What the cool kids are doing.
Yeah.
Just kind of how to boil it down.
It's trends and fads and zeitgeist.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah, I totally agree with that. Actually, now that I read this question again, that one is pretty straightforward. It's like, hey, what's the thing right now? It's like buying branded clothing, right? You go to the store and if you look a lot of times, and it's like this with food too. You go to the cereal aisle, and I never knew this, but a buddy of mine told me this. You go to the cereal aisle and you buy a box of, let's just say, Captain Crunch, right? And then you look down the aisle and they have the off-brand option. Well, on a lot of them, not all of them, but on a lot of them, they're actually created by the same freaking company. They're branded differently, like the Kroger brand. A lot of the Kroger brand is actually name brand stuff that Kroger has a deal with the parent company to be able to slap their label on. And so, and here's the great part. If you ask somebody, if you show them that, if you sit them down and you pour them a bowl of cereal each, you tell me, which one do you like better? Right? They're looking at the name brand, and they're gonna almost always, I believe, tell you, oh, well, I mean, the real guy, it really is better. You gotta agree. And I think it's the same thing with these NFTs. It's just like, hey, everybody says that this one is where it's at, so this one is where it's at. I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on it.
You know, I once did, years ago, I did one of those marketing things where they bring a whole lot of people in and they were asking us about vodka. And they're asking us about the difference between Smirnoff and Stollies. And everyone's going, oh, Stollies, yeah, it's so much better, blah, 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 blah. And Smirnoff is not as good, and blah, 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 blah. And at the end, they brought in like cups, and like we got to do a taste. And so there was no labeling on the cups, and we tasted it. And you could just see everyone kind of like looking around, just sort of. And then someone kind of goes, oh, yeah, that's really good. It's really smooth, blah, 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 blah. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, that's definitely the Stollies. And because da, 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 da. And then they brought the other tray in, and they're going, oh, yeah, no, that's definitely the Smirnoff. Everyone got it completely wrong. And everyone was just looking towards everybody else to see what their reaction would be. And then as soon as one person said it, everyone just kind of jumped on.
And after enough drinks, I mean, it's not really going to matter which one you're.
It all tastes
good at
water.
that point, right?
That's what's in
all
here.
Water.
So that brings us to the next question, right? We've been talking about NFTs and just like the art behind NFTs, but NFTs have more forms of use cases than just art. So the question is, how do you see NFTs evolving our current financial systems, including banking, DeFi, real estate, and just ownership in general? How do you guys see that happening? BlooBum, take that away.
Well, I think what's just launched is the Hedron contract, which I think is going to absolutely revolutionize the NFT space and financial space. And what that does is it allows you to make hex stakes through the Hedron contract. So you can then later tokenize that stake and sell it as an NFT. And
what's the benefit? Can I just stop you real quick? I don't mean to cut in. What's the benefit of being able to do that?
Well, first of all, there's security benefits. Like if you want to send it to another address, or you could gift it. But it means you're going to be able to sell a stake. So let's say you start a hex stake and you do it for the maximum length of time. So that means it's attracting the greatest yield on that stake that stake could get. And you're getting it at the very, very cheap T-share rate, or the current T-share rate. Then you wait a number of years, and now you're selling that NFT that you bought at that earlier T-share rate. So you're getting an absolute ton of interest every day accruing to that account. And so it's in a way like monetizing shares, hex shares. But at the same time, and especially if you make it in this launch phase, like in the next 9 days now, you get a 10x, and then the following 10 days an 8x, and so on and so forth. You'll be able to mint Hedron from that. So you can mint Hedron based on days served and multiplied by how many B shares it is. And if you do it during the launch phase, like in this next 9 days now, you get B shares times days served plus B shares times days served times 10. So you're getting an absolute ton of Hedron. And it's a lot to take on. It's a bit of a fire hose of information.
Well, you just got to be a hexagon to take it in. You know what I mean? Because it's...
Well, you do need to understand hex and how hex works in order to understand Hedron. Absolutely.
So before Deezy jumps in, I just wanted to ask you real quick a follow-up question. So outside of hex NFTs or whatever hex is doing, do you see NFTs having other NFTs and other blockchains having some type of evolving effect on DeFi, central banking, or just our future in general? Or do you think that only the hex NFTs are the way to go?
Well, already with Uniswap version 3, you can take out a liquidity position, a one-sided liquidity position, and that's actually an NFT. And they're actually sold on other markets like OpenSea. So that's been happening for a while. And people pay a premium for those for some reason. So they are traded already. And in the future, I think there's going to be a ton of information. Like the more governments squeeze down on crypto, there's going to be like more and more people working out how to use it, and it's permissionless. So anybody can spin up a new contract and experiment and try things out. And if it has no admin keys and has been audited, then it's pretty safe to use. And like people are going to come up with all sorts of ideas, I think. One idea might be taking, building on top of the Hedron contract, where you have this Hedron, a hex stake made to the Hedron contract, and then you put another contract on top of it, which fractionalizes that. So you can sell parts of that, and then those get traded. Maybe that happens in the future.
Deezy, what do you think about that?
Well, I wasn't expecting that left turn when we were talking about utility cases for NFTs. We're going to start talking about staking it on all that. But the first avenue, probably, we're seeing it now. It's gaming. For some reason, the gamers are fighting back. I have my own theory on that. I think they're still mad about crypto miners stealing their graphics cards for years and years, and now it's kind of like their revenge moment. Like, no, we don't want it. Although I don't understand why. I think it's just a lack of education. So we'll see it in gaming first. We're starting to see it in music. I know Cardano is doing a lot in Africa regarding school resources and keeping the records and identification records and whatnot. We'll see how that works out. I know a lot of people strongly believe in Charles Hoskinson's ability to get that to play out correctly. A lot of people have maybe a little bit of doubt on the timelines we're seeing. But I think we will eventually see car registrations and house deeds, be NFTs. When that will happen, I don't know. It'll be a case-by-case basis. We'll see it, in local jurisdictions or other countries. Global adoption, that's probably going to be a ways away. CBDCs, we're seeing what China's doing. So, they will probably be, on the forefront of, NFTs for your dental records or, your traffic tickets, or all that's going to be on there. But gaming, we'll see it first. Music, possibly after.
BlooBum, you got anything to say about what Deezy just said?
Well, do
you agree, disagree? Or you?
Look, if it has, potentially some of those things could go on. The problem is that you have, there's got to be someone in the real world that verifies that kind of stuff. But things like having your health records online on a blockchain, blockchains are public. And so that means your information is publicly accessible, I guess. And who knows? When you start thinking of the future, there's all sorts of, things that could happen. But I don't see how you solve too many problems with a lot of those things.
I can definitely see license plates and real estate, deeds being NFTs, right? Like, you don't have to worry about that. It's literally just on the blockchain. The cop pulls you over, wants to verify who you are, just jumps on. They have their app, right? The app that works with the blockchain, pulls the data from whatever your ID number is, and boom, bam, slam. There's no way to it gets away with the people that try to have fake IDs, the people that are trying to hide their identity and use
You're not screenshotting that.
Yeah, there's no way you're gonna falsify a passport, or you're gonna falsify an ID once they're put on the blockchain.
Yeah, but the opposite side to that is government has a lot of control over you, and they know where you are at all times as well.
But they have control over you right now.
You live in Australia, don't you?
I have to get out.
Question is, will they let you out?
I applied for my exemption and I got it, actually. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. I'm happy for you, dude. I'm happy for you.
No, that's super nice. So let's go to the audience. I have a question here real quick that I want to throw out there to you guys. So what do you guys think will make people change their mind about NFTs being a pyramid scheme designed to fuel the greed of people in crypto? I want to tweak this question just a little bit. Not so much the pyramid scheme side of it, but Miguel and I have talked quite a bit about the idea that NFTs could be used for, just like anything in the world, right? Could be used for good or bad. And the reality is it would be very easy for me to create an NFT, sell, and people have done this, right? And basically use it for money laundering and other nefarious purposes, right? Do you see that being a reality? And like is that really happening? You hear people talk about it, just like the energy FUD sometimes, or Bitcoin's only used for selling drugs or whatever craziness that the news puts out there. Do you think, and I would like to hear from both of you, do you think that NFTs are being utilized in that way?
For money laundering? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
or
sure there's a lot of things that look like wash trading. I mean, we saw wash trading with looks rare for like 1,000%. The Justin Bieber Bored Ape, that was almost most assuredly marketing, that he paid 400 ETH above its real value. So I mean, we see, I'm sure there's tax harvesting, but there's all those things exist in the real life as well. So that's a human flaw. That's not so much a blockchain flaw.
that's a good point.
Yeah, most criminal activity is carried out in US dollars. That's why, and to use a blockchain for those kind of criminal activities is kind of dumb. Like, there's a clear path forever of where those funds went, and you can use mixers and stuff like that, I suppose. But mainly, like, criminals, they use the US dollar or Australian dollar, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. So
I see Wayne over here saying governments will clamp down on NFTs due to money laundering. I wonder if they were going to clamp down on fiat money laundering.
yeah, no, not.
And to the original question, when will people's perception change on it no longer being a pyramid scheme? Is the moment they start using it, that's when it'll happen. If they have that idea in their mind that it is, nothing will change their mind until they get involved. The same, I would say an example is the Pokemon card craze we saw, kind of started 2 years ago in earnest. A lot of people were kind of into it before then. If you're not into collecting, whether it's some sort of collectible, you're not going to get it. And when you tell somebody, yeah, I bought this card, I hope it goes up in value, they see that as a pyramid scheme. And someone else, they just see themselves as a collector. Those people will never see eye to eye. So there's really no point in trying.
Yeah, people
I
really
completely agree
throw.
with that.
Yeah,
ahead.
people really throw around the terms pyramid and Ponzi without actually knowing what they mean. Like, a pyramid scheme is a really specific thing with like multiple levels of referrals, and a Ponzi scheme is something is fraud. You know what I mean? And so what are people often talking about are just markets.
Mhm.
If everybody sells anything of a market, like if there's a market for cars and everyone wants to sell that car, guess what? That price of that car is very, very low. If everyone wants to buy that car and nobody's selling it, that price goes up.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Ponzi scheme thing is thrown around a lot. I mean, is a lot of scenarios, a lot of different projects or node services out here in the crypto space that do kind of have like that Ponzi scheme, elevator kind of multi-tier situation where you come in and then you're paying a certain amount to get in, and then they're paying you a certain amount back that somebody else is paying in, and they keep you motivated to always keep on holding and reinvesting and they kind of really try to push away the idea of ever taking your money out. And that's where you end up eventually. At some point somebody pulls the plug and all the money's gone, and then you're like, oh snap, it was a Ponzi scheme. So I mean, I see people's skepticism, because I'm one of those people that I'd rather be skeptical at first until I really dive in and figure it out for myself. But there's never a for sure chance anything could eventually be a Ponzi scheme, right? People call the stock market a Ponzi scheme, and it's been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Well, it's based on fraud, a Ponzi scheme. So they give you some sort of explanation about how the money's being earned, and then they're just using the new people to pay off the old people rather than actually doing whatever magic they said was going to happen. And so you just have to really examine what they're saying it is that is increasing the value of it.
No, yeah, totally. I completely agree. It definitely takes a level of research, but at the end of the day, you'll never get the complete inside scoop of how everything is happening. Nothing is 100% transparent.
Well, you can on the blockchain. Like, that's the beauty of the blockchain. It's all public and it's all verifiable, and you can
Yeah, but
actually
you don't
see the
know
truth of it.
where those funds are coming from what wallets, and who's owning those wallets, and who's pushing what here to make it look like there's a big amount of people coming into a project, and you're just getting swept away under all these wash trading that's not real, right?
Well,
Like,
the
there's
wash
no,
trading, yeah, but the wash trading has to happen on exchanges. So on Uniswap, there's not going to be any wash trading, because they're real transactions, and you can see them on the blockchain. The wash trading is only what happens on exchanges in order to move the price, to whatever they want the price to be, whether it's to like scam wick out, like leverage traders, or whether it's just to catch up with another exchange which has Bitcoin at a much higher or lower price than it, and so it needs to wash trade to get it back up to that price.
Yeah, but massive whales, right, can diversify their assets through multiple wallets and make it seem like something has a lot of volume when it really doesn't. It's just one person using many wallets, or a small group of people using many wallets, using large amount of funds, and you'll never figure out if that's wash trading or not. You got to be careful.
No. I mean, there's a big cost to it if they're trying to do that on the blockchain. Like,
what's the cost to it if you created the coin?
The Ethereum transaction.
Well, the Ethereum transaction. You're talking about Ethereum with high gas fees, but we can be on any other blockchain with way lower gas fees or anything.
But even if it's on one with low gas fees, it's still a cost.
Yeah, but if you're pulling people into the scam, you're outweighing those transactions that you're pulling in, right? And if you created the token, it didn't cost you anything to create the token. So I understand what you're saying. I completely understand, but the risk versus reward, the cost, they get kind of paid out. But let's jump back onto the NFT situation.
I guess it'd just be a lot harder to do on the blockchain.
I understand what you're trying to tell me.
So that kind of leads into, actually, no, it doesn't. That doesn't lead into at all. I'm going to ask the last question, though. So a lot of people would say that NFTs are just a fad, right? That they came onto the scene. Everybody's all hyped up about them right now, but they're just going to fade out and all go to zero over time. I'd love to hear what I think the two of you have a lot of actually opposing views on NFTs, what they're used for, how that's going to look over the long term. So I want to add a little bit of a layer to this. First of all, is it a fad that's just going to go away over time? And if it is or it isn't, tell me why. Give me a little explanation on that. John,
John, go ahead.
Sorry.
They're very obviously fads. Like, and you're going to have different fads come in. It's the Bored Ape, or it's the rock, or it's the cactus, or the next thing is going to be, I don't know, ocean creatures, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and things are going to be popular at certain times, and the advertising companies are going to push certain things at certain times, and people's mass perception is going to change over time. And when crypto crashes, just hope that, the thing that you have, someone does want to buy that. Otherwise, it's going to zero, or near zero, probably zero.
Deezy?
Most things are going to go to zero, or near zero, or less than zero if you factor in your gas costs. So some people are definitely going to be at a net negative for NFTs. But NFTs being a fad, sure, NFTs are a fad. Same way crypto is a fad, same way DeFi is a fad. It goes in ebbs and flows. Right now, it might be a little more frothy versus 6 months from now, or versus a year in the past. But they're not going to go anywhere. We're living more and more of our lives digitally. We're living more and more of our lives online. We're relying more and more on our digital, personifications. So, whether it's, your Twitter, your Instagram, or, walking around in a video game. So that flex, Gary V, he calls it, people are always going to want to flex, whether it's with a watch, look, Richard Hart. Look at Richard Hart's watches. Look at his bag. He likes to flex. He understands the flex. So a lot of people, they don't have the ability to, have a Rolex watch, but maybe they can get into that Bored Ape for, that $100-$300. Next thing you know, they have this digital flex that is worth a Rolex. So that desire is always going to be there. It's not going to go anywhere. And, if it's a fad, sure, call it a fad, but it's not going to, it'll come back for, a 1000%.
I completely agree with that. You got anything to say about that, BlooBum?
Yeah, just hope that you're holding the right fad, I suppose, in the future when you want to cash out.
Well, but hold on a second. Hold on. I gotta push back on that one. So isn't and I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna strike a nerve here. But hold on. Yeah. So that's what I was about to say. So I'm gonna hit a nerve here. But isn't that the same thing with Hex? You're just holding out because he won't tell anybody how much he holds, if he's ever sold. He won't give you that information. Like, are you holding out on the fact that he is ultimately going to do what he said he's going to do in the end, right?
Are you talking about Hex? No, I mean, Hex has a very, very clear value proposition. Like, people are highly incentivized to stake it, and to stake it longer for more yield. And as people are locking it up into the future, that's reducing supply. And so if you have demand remaining the same or going up over time with the network effect, the value is going to increase. And that's been proven. Like, in 263 days, it did 1,000,000%, and it's on a nice little dip now. and it's probably going to keep going up and to the right. It's beaten like both Ethereum and Bitcoin since their inceptions, if you sort of like overlay those graphs. And in terms of well, I mean, I don't even want to say that Richard Hart owns what he owns, but the OA address, the origin address, like verifiably hasn't sold any hex from anything that I've seen, like from all the chain analysis, and people have done tons of chain analysis on it. It's never sold
but
anything.
But it can.
But why would it? I mean, let's say it is Richard Hart. Like, he was a millionaire before he got into crypto. He started mining Bitcoin when it was 30, 50 cents or $3 or whatever it is. I mean, he was given like how much ETH, like 1% of all ETH or something like that, like for the hex. So, I mean, and then he's had all these other sacrifices. So he's sitting on an absolute ton of capital potentially. And it's like, why on earth would he start selling hex to send that to zero? Like, it doesn't make any sense. He's put his whole life and ego and his glory like onto this, and he wants to see like high hex everywhere it goes, and it makes perfect, like, he's not going to sell any. I mean, you've got to be crazy to think he's going to sell. Why on earth would he? Like, and if he does, like, even if he does, like, so then that's cheap hex. Like, the hex system still works. The hex contract is immutable, no admin keys, no one can change it. And, you know, like, yeah, I suppose in theory, the OA address could continue, like, regularly dump heaps and heaps of hex.
Like they do with XRP, XRP, where there's the billion dumping.
And ETH. What about the ETH people? Like, they dump ETH regularly. Vitalik dumps ETH regularly. Like, what's his name? The Litecoin dude. He dumped all his Litecoin. Like, yeah, those guys do. And they're dumb. But, like, and maybe they needed the money, you know what I mean? But, like, but Richard Hart doesn't need the money at all. If anything, he's going to be spending that money to promote hex. That's why he's buying all of the Rolex watches, and that's why he does all the flashy kind of stuff. He wants people to, he wants to grab attention, and he wants people to. One of the ways to do that is you force people to make a choice about you, whether they like you or whether they hate you. That attracts attention, and then they look into hex. I mean, hex is a piece of genius, that contract, and it's never going to change. So
back on that, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I don't want to make this a hex debate. We can have one of those on a.
We can definitely have one.
Yeah, I can talk about it a lot for a while.
We can definitely have that.
So fad, not a fad. Final words.
Not a fad.
Not a fad. 100%. I would take that. I would agree with the flex, right? Somebody said in the comments, the Supreme brand, right? People buy Supreme because they want to flex it. BlooBum. Fad,
hex,
no fad.
Hex, not a fad. Hedron, not a fad. Well, it's not even.
Hex is up for debate. That one's still up for debate, so we'll see about that.
JPEGs on the links. Owning a cryptographically secure link to a JPEG on the internet. Yeah, definitely fads, and they will come in and out of popularity and how much you can cash out.
So what I want to hear is a final, if you could bring your stance from everything that you guys have talked about back and forth, just kind of bring it into like a 30-second, like wrap it up into a nice little bow. I'll let you start, BlooBum, and then Deezy, you can finish it out. Like kind of where you stand.
Yeah, a lot of NFTs are fads, especially, images of, JPEGs. But the real value is going to come through financial NFTs. And so research Hedron. Go to Hedron Crypto on Telegram. That is where the cutting edge of innovation in the financial space is happening.
That's coming from, sorry, I just want to clarify. That's coming from Hex as well? That's like a Hex thing?
It's a contract that's on Ethereum, and it's built on top of Hex. So it monetizes Hex stakes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I never heard of that before. Okay,
Deezy.
Just one point of BlooBum's thesis here was it's just a digital fingerprint of an underlying asset, and I just want to double down on ownership and what it really means. And if I buy a Bored Ape and I'm the only one that could sell it, I own it. You could split hairs all you want, and you can bring out that technician that has been coding since before he could walk, and he's going to say you're wrong, and here's XYZ reasons, and I'm just say the money's in my pocket, and that's all that matters to me. It's not going anywhere. NFTs aren't going anywhere. They're just going to get bigger. The sooner you get in, the sooner you get educated, the better off you're going to be. So best time is today. Next best time, just get going. Do it tomorrow. YouTube it. Google it. Watch some Gary V, watch some NFT Alpha, And make sure you watch CryptoKeeper on that Around the Blockchain, 5 p.m. On BitBoy's channel.
Every Monday, but you can watch it every day of the week. Definitely.
Yeah. For
Now,
anybody in the chat, drop a 1 if you think NFTs are a fad, or do you think they're not a fad? Drop a 2 in the chat. We want to see what the audience has to say. But go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, no, Crypto Fam, we just, first of all, BlooBum, Deezy, thank you guys for coming on here. We appreciate the time. Appreciate you taking time out of your Saturday night when you could be, you know, out of the party,
partying at that Bored Ape Yacht Club party.
Yeah, missing the yacht party
with your copied fake entry. Yeah, no, we do appreciate you guys coming on. So thank you very much, Crypto Fam. If nobody's told you before today, we love you. Oh, you know what? I forgot one more thing. Just an announcement. Juggernaut of Crypto. If you're on here, if not, we're going to reach out to you individually. But you have won the 1 year of Market Cipher. So.
Yeah, we completely forgot to announce it at the beginning.
Yeah,
of the show.
Literally, my bad. We were supposed to announce that. We were supposed to announce that earlier, but hey, that's literally like a $1,000 item there. We'll reach out to you if you're in the chat. Congratulations. If you're not, we will reach out to you individually. So congrats on that. But Crypto Fam, we love you guys. We hope you guys have a fantastic evening. Just remember, question everything.
Trust nothing.